So welcome everyone to our first meeting of our CCNA 1 class. This is instructor level class at Stanley Community College. My name is Kelly Caudle and I am the lead instructor here at Stanley for our instructor training center. I'm also the head of our Academy Support Center at Stanley Community College. And then I run this little thing called the IT Academy, which is, guess I should have went that way, which is the section of our college that does online training for folks who are looking for recertification or for moving up in their other positions. So I do a lot of different things here at the college. I've been at school for almost 27 years now, and I have been part of the Cisco Academy for, well, since 98, 99, so a very, very, very long time. With me today are Michael Bowden and Brian Crump. I will let Brian or Michael go ahead and introduce himself real quickly.
Yes, my name is Michael Bowden. I'm going on about 2 years here teaching. Previously, before the 2 years, I worked for a healthcare facility for 10 years doing operations to help desk to desktop. Then I ended up in networking department, and I was able to obtain my CCNA for the second time. Originally, I went to school here where I'm now working, so I obtained my CCNA when I graduated a couple years ago also. So I decided to come back here to try to give back to the students the same thing that I was given, same opportunity.
And I'll tell you, the arm you see behind Michael there, that's Lydia Miller's arm. So that's Lydia. She's the one that probably registered you. So that disembodied arms behind her there, behind him is her. So just don't get too freaked out by that. So all right, Brian.
My name is Brian Crump. I'm program head of IT, the network management program at Stanley Community College. Been at Stanley since 2009, started in IT, worked up to senior network management, and then had the opportunity to come work with the Whitley Tech Group and with Kelly, and been following in his lead since. Now, Kelly won't admit it, but Michael and I were both first-time students with Kelly. So not saying how old he is, but he trained us. So.
and I'm doing a good job preparing them to take my place. Like I said, I've been here for 27 years, so you read that into it as you may. I will say, I know all of you are kind of looking around going, well, who are all these folks, and am I in a class with this many people? The answer is yes and no. You are not in a class with 105 people, but we do have 105 people taking CCNA 1 this summer. The majority of you are in either one of Michael's section or in Brian's section. So actually the 100 that we did this summer, we're giving away free 100 slots for CCNA 1 through our ASC ITC. We spent our own money. It was about $20,000 to do so, and an attempt to give back because we know how rough things have been. And so we wanted to kind of kickstart things and give people an opportunity to take CCNA 1. I was actually, to be quite honest with you, a lot of this was because of what's called Open University in the UK. And I don't know if you're familiar with Open University, but Andrew Large, who is there. They actually just lost one of the guys that works there. His name was Kevin. And it was a huge loss for the community. He was an extremely smart guy. And so this is kind of dedicated to him to kind of continue on what Open EDU has done. On top of that, some of you in here are a part of our HBCU grant project with Cisco. And we have 9 students who are with us from HBCU universities and community colleges. Majority of you are from Hampton University, so glad to have you with us. In fact, I was talking with someone today with the Navy about Dam Neck, so we may be up in that region not too short time frame teaching again at Dam Neck. So we have a large group, and Brian and Michael and I got together and we talked, hey, we've got 105 people. We've got 3 instructors who are teaching the same materials. So why reinvent the wheel? And all 3 of us have 3 different sets of meetings every week. Instead, we're going to pool our experiences together and bring you all together in a single set of meetings. Now, that does not mean that you basically would contact me. If you're not in my class, your first direct contact is your instructor, so either Brian or Michael. Having said that, I am over the ITC, so if you have a big problem, you contact me. It also is going to work out well because over the summer, We've got a lot of travel. Michael and I will be going to Cisco Live in 2 weeks. During that time, we will do our best to get online during the meetings that week. If not, then Brian will be covering the meetings that week because, again, we'll be out of town. Then the week after that, we're at Skills USA, all three of us are, but we will figure out a way to do something that week, either run our classes from our hotel rooms, or we'll work something out. We're working on that. So it's really good to have all of you together. I really think it's going to be a fun summer as we work together. So today we've done our welcome and introduction. So I want to go through, we've already sent out to you a series of emails. Now, here's one of the things, John learned this today. A couple things. One, the email that you registered with on the registration form is where we've been sending the class information to. We also send it to your Stanley email address. You all now have a Stanley email address, which is going to become very important when we teach you about an unbelievable resource we have on campus called O'Reilly Online, which is our O'Reilly database. You'll get to it using your Stanley email address. But just be aware that if you haven't seen any email from your instructor, you may want to look in your spam folder, because I think, John, you found it in your spam folder. So be aware, we did send out a couple emails, and I honestly email my students to death on the first day of class. So you probably received 2 or 3 emails already from me. If you're in my class today, I apologize. It will slow down a little bit. You said, Dr. Reynolds, you love that database. Yeah, we do too. And Dr. Reynolds, you have access to it for as long as your Stanley email address is valid, which will be at a minimum 2 semesters past this class. So it really works out well if you take it in the summer, because this should mean that your Stanley email address is good for all of the fall semester and all of the spring semester. So we pay a campus-wide licensing fee for the O'Reilly Online database so that all of our students can access it. So we'll show it to you later. That's not something we're going to show you today, but we'll show you later. And there is a video in the class, inside of the class, that shows you how to use or to get in. So if you want to be adventurous, you can watch that video. I will tell you there's a slight change the way you get in now. Instead of picking not listed in the drop-down box, it's just at the bottom. It says not listed, and you put in your email address. But we'll show you that. But we're going to go over accessing canvas.stanley.edu and what you do there. Michael's going to go over the syllabus. We're going to talk about netacad.com, and then we'll talk about Netlabs. So let's first start off. Again, any questions? That's awesome. You have access to it, VCU? Yeah, it is. It is phenomenal database. And I will tell you, if your school does not have the O'Reilly Online database, you may want to talk to your library about getting it for your campus. It is expensive, but it's not as expensive as you would think it would be. I used to pay almost $50 a month personally for access to the database. So you start looking at that, and you can see how quickly that it is available. So there are 5 Season A1 classes going on at the same time. Obviously, your 3 instructors are here. Send questions directly to your instructor first. But then, again, I'm here to be aware of that. We're going to share and meet and do lectures. Mondays will be lecture days when we lecture on the content. Wednesdays will be lab days when we will pick a couple labs from the content and go over them. Our hope is, as we move forward, though, you will be telling us what labs you would like for us to go over and that you've had problems with. It will even get to the point that we're pretty flexible, that we can meet and say, okay, 4 or 5 students want to look at this lab. We'll break out in a breakout session and we'll go do that one. 4 or 5 want to do this lab, they can go with Brian over here or go with Michael. So we're flexible to do that. And we've also found that we can actually record in breakout rooms and then put it all together and make it a single recording. You are required to watch these videos, okay? You're not required to attend. So if you can't attend in person every one of our meetings on Mondays and Wednesdays, which I don't think you will be able to, because you're human. You're going to go on vacation. You're going to have things come up. You're not required to be here synchronously every week. Now, obviously, we feel that the best way to learn is to be here. But if you can't, you are required to watch the videos, because we go over a large amount of the material via these meetings. And so we will post the link to the recording. It will be on my YouTube page, and it will be posted in Netacad. And I always email the link out when I get done with it. So I'll email it out too to my classes. And that's Brian and Michael, that's your choice whether or not you email it out or just put it into Netacad, either one. So be aware, again, I mentioned this, the emails that you should be getting were to the email address that you put on that registration form. So questions before we move on to the three main areas for class? Any? Feel free to come off mute if you want to. Or if you,
Hey,
yes.
my
Go
name
ahead.
is Lorraine, and
Yes.
I've been trying to get on since 7 o'clock this morning. I got the help desk and they said something's going on and my account's not there. They see my name, but the social's not there. So if after this call, can somebody help me get on so I don't get dropped?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we won't drop you. You just email your instructor and we'll get you taken care of. We'll figure it out.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Lorraine, I've seen your email. It looks like your account's been created now. So I'll follow back up with you email wise.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
and we're not dropping anybody. That we will
No.
talk in a minute about doing the initial assignment. It is, we usually give you some time to get that done. So we're not going to drop you today for not doing the initial assignment. We'll get you. There's always going to be little problems like this. They do not give us, okay, your username for Canvas is your full Stanley email address. That is your full Stanley email address is your username for Canvas. And then the document that your instructor sent you gives you information about how the initial password is created. Brian or Michael, if you will paste into chat the little blurb from the email we sent out that tells how the initial password was set up. That would
But they
help.
didn't, yeah, they didn't give us a Stanley email address. They just said that please use the information below to access your SCC Canvas account, and it's like an ID consisting of 6 numbers.
Yeah, and then your Stanley email address is just that ID and then at scc.stanley.edu.
Oh, okay.
So it's your student ID and then that at scc.stanley.edu. That should be your username.
Okay.
And then that initial password is based upon your the last digits. It's a little bit complicated, but they'll paste it into the chat here in a second. We always have, I'll be quite honest with you, we have a lot of teething pains getting you into the Canvas system. It happens. Y'all know how it is on the first day of class.
Yeah, I contact you offline because it didn't work, but I contact you offline, Kelly. Thank you.
Okay. Greg, did you have a question?
No, sir. I was just letting you know that I pasted that already.
Okay, excellent. Okay, thank you very much, Greg. I appreciate that. Yep, there you go. Thank you very much. Okay, everybody. So what is canvas.stanley.edu? First off, we do use Canvas here at Stanley as one of our primary sites. And if this was not an instructor training class, we would actually have you uploading assignments into Canvas. However, because it's an instructor training class, we actually have you use NetAcad instead of our Canvas system. But there is, because we are a state institution and we have to follow the state rules, you have to show attendance. Okay. By the way, my camera's over here, but the screen I use is over here because this is a 34-inch monitor and this is a little monitor. So I kind of have to do like this. So I apologize. But you will find inside of your class or inside of Canvas, once you log in, you will find your class, which is this, whatever and your instructor named it. This is mine, ITN ITC SU22, but it should be a net 31 something. Okay. Once you go in here, you're going to see that really there's not a whole lot here. And that is on purpose because this site, Canvas, the main thing we do here is we are going to do the initial assignment here, which is that form assignment where you just introduce yourself. And I accidentally left security instead of networking in there. So be aware that I actually meant to say, what is your networking experience, not security experience. This is a networking class, not security, but I always tell people networking is security. I get so tickled because people say, oh, security is a hot thing. Well, if you don't know networking, you can't secure the network without knowing how the network works. So we also have the course syllabus here and the logon directions. Now I'm gonna go back over here just a second and you'll see that in this welcome, I even talk about the 3 different sites. Canvas, this is your initial logon site and where you'll do the attendance assignment. Now, if you don't do this assignment before our drop date, which it's about a week and a half from now. So we tell people it's got to be done the first day of class because if we don't, you know how it is. But really, we've got a little bit of wiggle room. But this is where you'll do the initial assignment, which is this welcome introductory forum, just introductory networks forum, just right here. Okay. The other thing here is a document telling you how to use a seat token to enroll in your NetAcad class, and then the actual seat tokens to be used by you. Now, I'm not going to click on the seat tokens because it will show the token. Okay. And then I did put in here the Zoom link, which is the Zoom link for all of our class meetings that we'll be having for the entire summer. So the entire summer sessions will be there. We have on this particular site too is the syllabus. But other than this introductory assignment, and by the way, we also have the syllabus again inside of NetAcad. But other than the introductory assignment, really that's all you're going to do on canvas.stanley.edu. Majority of our work, everything we're going to do in terms of turning in assignments, doing your reading will be done on NetAcad. So I'm going to turn it over to Michael and let Michael go over the syllabus real quickly. And for Brian and Michael, I'm going to step out of the office for just a second and I'll be right back. So Brian, Michael, you want to take over and do the syllabus?
Yes. Do you allow me to share my screen?
Yep, you can do it now. So go ahead.
All right.
Share your screen and you should be able to do it.
All right. So we have your syllabus, which is.
Now, hold on a minute,
located-
Michael. You're not sharing. We don't see it, or I don't see it.
Do anyone else?
Let me
Do
stop
y'all-
my share.
Yeah, Kelly, stop your share, then it'll work.
All right, now go ahead, Michael. Now, okay, there. Michael's
You
got
see
it.
it?
Yep.
Okay, thanks. So we have your syllabus, which Kelly went over, which is embedded here. It's a download. And I already have it downloaded here. But the syllabus just goes over our course flow. And as you see, we have the class dates, the beginning and the end dates. We also have my email along with Brian and Kelly's in case you have any questions. But like Kelly stated before, the first option would be to email your instructor. Then it also goes into the minimum requirements, which is basically just internet connection. Most of your labs will be done through Packet Tracer and our Netlabs system. Then it goes into your course description, which is this is the CCNA 1 course. And it goes over some of the basic understandings that you will have once you complete this course, how networks operate and how to build simple local area networks and perform basic configurations on your switches and routers. And also this course is done through Cisco Networking Academy, which is Cisco's NetAcad. And it also goes through some of the course level learning objectives. And one of the main parts here is, which Kelly would go over also, is the minimum course requirements for this course, for this instructor training course. So Kelly will go over it again, but I'm just gonna breeze through it. So in order to be accredited and marked complete for this class, you need to complete all of the chapter exams. And you need to do 80% of the packet tracers and labs, which is about 25 labs. That's including.
That's 25 labs. That's not all the packet tracers. So that's just the, is that all in packet
That's
tracers?
all together.
Oh, okay.
25 either can be from 10 packet tracers, 10 labs. And
that is minimum. Now that is minimum.
Yeah.
So, if you want to do I would suggest doing all of them. But we also realize, folks, you are instructors. You are probably teaching this summer. Most of how many, quick show of hands, just throw hands up. How many of you teaching this summer in addition to this class? Probably everybody. Yeah. Well, guess what? We know that. So
Yeah.
That's why we're saying, it's the minimum that we'd like to see you do. I'd love to see you do all of them, but I'm also a realist. Sorry.
And the extra other 20%, y'all just be aware that there are some labs that you may not feel like you understand completely, and you can redo them as many times as you like. And then if there's an issue with your packet tracer and you just can't get it, you can email your instructor, and then we can look at it individually to help identify it. I mean, you can submit it and then we give you feedback that way, or just email your instructor. Either way, whichever works best to help make sure you understand the content as it's being presented.
Yep. And also must complete the final exam. We're looking for a score of 75% or higher. And also our hands-on skills exam, which will be done in Netlabs. And Well, before I continue with the course outline, was there any questions with the minimum requirements, anything so far? Okay, continue with the course outline. So below here is just a general outline. We have due dates, which these due dates correlate to NetAcad. Also, the due dates will be marked in there the same, but it kind of gives you a guide to go by. So they're not set in stone. So, you know, if you happen to miss a due date, it's not a real big issue, but it's kind of there to keep you on track in order to finish the course in time. So as you see here, we have it marked down from different weeks. So week 1, this will be a typical setup of what you would want to accomplish for week 1. And then you go into week 2. But what you'll notice is when you get in NetAcad, you'll notice that modules 1 through 3 is grouped together for the exam. So that's what we made the due dates for. So to be for the total, everything from modules 1 through 3, this will be a typical due date. And then for each one of these, like I said, it correlates to the in NetAcad. And then for week 4, you see where we're gonna go through module 4 and 5. And here's the module 4 packet tracers and module 4 labs. Then when you get into week 4, you see it shows a due date for modules 4 through 7.
And let me stress again what Mike would mention, and that is we have 2 things in this class. There's no freaking out and there's no crying in networking. That's our 2 rules. Okay. All right. That's our 2 major rules. So when we talk about these due dates, if you're like me, yeah, PT stands for packet tracer. And Patrick,
Yes.
If you don't know about packet tracer, we'll be going over it more as we move through the class. So it's a simulation tool that is one of the neatest parts of the Cisco Academy, because legally you can't use it unless you are a Cisco Academy. And so it's really neat. But we are going back to due dates. If I don't have due dates, I don't do anything. That's just the way I am. And I know that's because there's other things on my plate that my boss is trying to get me to do. So we put due dates in here. But if you miss a date by a week or so, we're not going to have a heart attack. What we don't want you to do is we don't want you to get to August 5th and say, ooh, I got 10 chapters or 10 modules to do. We don't want that. So that's why we have due dates. And we just want to stress to you that it's important that you use those as a guide to where you need to be to kind of to get to pass the class. And Jafar, check your email. I just sent you your username.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you.
Yeah, so for each week, like I said, it goes down and shows the due dates for each of the modules in the exams. And I know, Kelly, we had talked about, I know one of our meetings is gonna fall on a holiday. So I'm not sure how we're gonna work that out there.
We'll probably can't, I mean, if it falls on a holiday, we'll either try to move it forward or backwards. If it's like 7/4, we're not gonna lecture on the 4th of July, folks. I mean,
Yeah.
Let's be honest. It's not gonna happen. So we will try to meet, we'll probably just not even meet that day on the 4th, but we'll meet on the 6th if we can. Again, I know that's a holiday week, so we didn't put a whole lot in that particular week to be due. So just be aware that's one of those weeks that there's no way we can avoid, there's no way to avoid hitting some holidays over the summer like this. Yeah, I wish that would be awesome. Yeah, I wish we could all get together and have steaks. And the lectures will be at 4
I'm
o'clock.
actually having blue crabs now, just so you know.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Brian. That's one of the reasons we like to go to Groton is if you can make it to Groton in the summer, it's wonderful. If you make it to Groton in the winter, it's horrible. But the lectures question was benign. I was asking, will lectures continue at 4? Yes. Mondays from 4 to 5 roughly, and then sometimes we may go over a little bit, but from 4 to 5 will be lectures. Wednesdays from 4 to 5 and may go over a little bit will be the lab. So that's our current plan.
Okay.
Mike asked the normal networking time or commitment time for this course. I would say 4 to 6 hours each week. You may need it more one week, less the next. But what I would just say from personal experience, just don't rush through it. Just don't, I mean, you're gonna see things, the exact same course your students are going to see other than Netlabs. You may not have access to Netlabs. You may have real gear in the classroom, but the better prepared you are to answer the questions, the quicker you can get through your class and stay on the timeline you set forth in your future courses.
Yes, and just another quick note is some of these labs, and if you happen to fall behind, some of the labs, they do take a long time to it. It's not nothing you're gonna finish up in 10, 15 minutes. So some of the labs may take an hour, hour and a half. So that's one reason to try to keep up to a good pace. You know,
Greg, we'll go over Netlabs login here a little bit later as we move forward. So we'll get to that.
Yeah, so that pretty much finishes up the syllabus, unless there's any questions or anything.
Any questions on the syllabus? By the way, again, Michael probably mentioned this, but if a lab is in bold, that means that lab is to be completed on our Netlabs system. I will tell you this, we do ask you to do your labs on our Netlabs system because we can see every single thing you type in when you do your lab, which is good and bad. It's good because we can see it to help you. It's bad when students think that we actually can't see that they just logged in and didn't do anything for 2 hours and expect us to believe they actually did something, because then we can go and say, hey, guess what? You never typed a single command in, which is always fun to do with students. But one of the things I will say is this: if you are an existing academy, or if you want to become an academy, if you're not an academy already, contact me, let's talk about it. But if you are an existing academy and you have gear there locally, I do strongly suggest trying some of these labs on your own gear. We ask you to do it on ours so we can see that you're doing it. But if you have some gear there at school, go grab you a couple of 2 routers, 2 switches. In fact, if you're at home and you're out for the summer, see if they'll let you take 2 routers, 2 switches home, set you up a little mini lab at home and play with it. Because the more hands-on experience you can get, the better off you're going to be for your students. Okay. All right. Any other questions about the syllabus? Like I said, feel free to come off mute or. Okay. So Michael, I'm going to share my screen again here.
All right, I'll stop sharing.
All right, I got it. So once again, due dates are to keep you on track. You pick the packet tracers and the labs. The more you do, the better prepared you will be when you go teach this to your students. So just be aware of that. If you do the minimum, then you'll be minimally prepared to be teaching your students. All the module exams must be taken. We do have a final hands-on skills that it has to be taken on our Netlabs. We'll talk a much more about that as we move on. So that's the rule number 1. Don't freak out. The rule number 2 on crying, we're Skills USA judges. We've had people actually start crying while in the competition, and I just had to walk away. I'm like, I don't do this. We don't do crying in networking. And then the written final has to be taken, and we'll show you where that is at in our next item, which is this, netacad.com. If you do not have an existing netacad.com account, it is very important that when you look at this document inside of here using a seat token, it tells you right here, redeeming. I currently have a Networking Academy login. That means you do have a Cisco Netacad account, or I am new to the Networking Academy. If you have a current login, make sure you pick the first item here when you redeem your seat token. If you're totally new, do the second one. You do need, when you go through this process, to make sure that the email address you use to create your new account, you can get to it, because it's going to send you an activation information and everything about it. So you're going to walk through and create an account to access netacad.com. Once we get in here and you start looking around, you're going to be amazed, because there's actually, even if your school does not become a Cisco Academy, there's some actual classes in here that you can use for free, such as a full Linux class that has built-in Linux machines that you can use for your school. But this right here, netacad.com, is where you will find use your seat token from inside Canvas. It is the main class site. So Netacad, once you get in here, this is what your class is going to look like. Now, I have a bunch of classes. You're not going to see all these because you're not the main instructor on 37 different classes. I will tell you this. Some of you, if you are already an existing instructor for some reason, maybe you've had DevNet, maybe you've had CyberOps, A lot of people get in trouble because they come in here and they look for their class and can't find it because they're on their I'm teaching tab, or they're on the I'm managing tab, which the I'm managing tab is only for people who are main contacts or have that role. Well, you need to be on the I'm learning tab in order to see the class that you are part of. All right. I'm going to be on I'm teaching. You would be on I'm learning. Most of you won't have an option. You will only have the I'm learning tab because you're a new student. You will see this course right here, ITN ITC SU22. If you launch the course, you will see we have placed, well, got to log in again. You will see we have placed the syllabus at the top again. We have PowerPoints for you. This is where you can go download the packet tracer. We'll talk more about that as we move through class. Don't worry about it right now. Just realize that that's where you can download it. And this is where we will put links to the class Zoom sessions, which will be these recordings that are placed on my YouTube channel. You also can just subscribe to my YouTube channel. You know, it's my plan for when I retire is become a YouTube celebrity and make millions of dollars off my YouTube. Yeah, right. Okay. Now, down here at the bottom, as you move through here, you will see that a couple things, student resources, first time in this course. I would run this system test because it helps you see whether or not your system is ready to do the module exams, but only do this after you've downloaded and installed Packet Tracer, which we will talk about in our lecture next week. So don't worry about it if you don't get it installed yet. Down here where it says course content, this funky little icon here. If you click on this course content, it will take you to the readings. So this is the actual quote book for our class. The very first thing it has you do is how to download and get started with Packet Tracer. So if you don't know anything about Packet Tracer, this very first item, you're going to read about it. It's going to take you to where you can download Packet Tracer, and then you're going to actually download it and play in Packet Tracer is one of the very first things you do. But you can see this entire chapter here, our module, they call them modules now instead of chapters. So if I call them chapters, they used to be called chapters, then they called them modules, and now they call them they're modules. But you can see as I click here, this is all of our reading. So you do not require a book for this class. If you wish to purchase a book, there are companion guides that are available from Cisco Press. I don't require them for my students. I actually require my students to get like a CCNA exam study guide instead of a book. In fact, we've been able to do away with a lot of books and make it cheaper for our students. But this is the main text. So one of the things I'm going to tell you is for next week, for our lecture on Monday, the first thing you want to do is start reading this information. And to do that, you will need to have redeemed your seat token. You will need to go into class, and you will need to go down here to the course content and click on it. We also have in here lectures that I have recorded that are and by the way, my stuff is not in any way, shape, or form monetized, but regardless, when you click on it, it still gives you ads. But these are lectures for the first 3 chapters. So once you read them, you can watch the lectures, or if you want to watch the lecture first, then read them. That's fine. It's also where you will upload your assignments. So when you complete Packet Tracer, you will actually save it with your name and the name of the Packet Tracer and then upload it. Now, right now we have no submissions because nobody's done the lab yet. But this is where you will upload your labs, your Packet Tracers and your labs once you actually start doing labs on Netlabs. We're going to go over this much more next week, but I want you to be aware this is where 99.9% of your class interaction will be. I'll take that back, 80%, because you're going to spend a lot of time in Netlabs too. But this you'll see are the different sections here. And we've right now only got lectures up through, well, we got some old lectures I have down here on subnetting because subnetting is subnetting. But we'll get the rest of the lectures in here as we go along. But you'll see there's 17 different modules in this class. If you've never had any networking experience at all, that is okay, because this class starts off with what is a network? How is a network designed? How does it go together? That is very simple for us to do. So your main thing for NetAcad, class site, main item, and for you for next week, what I want you to do is to go ahead and start reading modules 1 through 3. And if you can, get Packet Tracer downloaded and installed. And if you can't, we'll do that on our meeting next week, first thing in class.
One thing to add, just so everyone knows, we understand that every school is different and every school has their own LMS. Kelly made a wonderful decision for us to teach using NetAcad only, because that may be the way that you decide to use it for your school. We do have schools that will only do like the chapter exams in NetAcad and then all their submissions through their LMS. That way they're meeting the auditor's guidelines for their school. And that's just at the end of the course, once we get to near the end of the course, we're going to get into how to import content, how to do a number of things with NetAcad itself. So we're trying to give you a well-rounded experience with NetAcad, because it'll make it easier for you moving forward with your.
I will show you this. This is a class that I'm giving someone access to. This is what it normally looks like. There's nothing, there's no uploads, no upload links. None of this is in here when you create a class inside of NetAcad. When you look at our class in NetAcad that I've given you access to, we have extensively modified and added to this class to give all these uplinks and everything in these different parts. So we can give you this shell for you to use, but I'll be honest with you. This is a Moodle based. It's a partial Moodle. It's not a full Moodle implementation, because if it was, I've heard that it would be much easier to use and better than what it is. But if you're a Canvas school, then, honestly, we've got classes in here. So for instance, when I taught CCNP Encore last time, this was it was an instructor class, but I had them upload everything inside of here. The only reason we're not doing that for you is because I don't know what you're going to do at your school. Do you have your own LMS? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. So we wanted to make sure that you're using the NetAcad LMS, and then we can go from there. As we get further into the class, like Brian said, this is an interesting class because we have to teach you the content, but we also will teach you how to use the information, how to create a class, how to set up students, those types of things that are covered in an orientation.
Yeah, and the other thing is just to get it out in the open, like Kelly said, this is not a full-blown Moodle. LTI is not integrated, so it's not easy. The only way to get your material moved, your grades moved from NetAcad to possibly to your LMS, if you decide to do that, is you manually have to move everything.
Right. So and a lot of schools are required by their campus rules to have the grades and the submissions in their local LMS. So we know that's a possibility. So just be aware that's something that we're trying to do. I was able to complete the first lab. Just love it. Okay. Just might be able to see if it's okay. Let me go look. I'll look and see. Was it the first lab, or so you're doing this lab research IT? Let me go see. It wasn't the first. Maybe it's first Packet Tracer. Let me go look.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was the first Packet Tracer.
Yep, there it is. So see, this is telling me it needs to be graded, so I can view. Earl, I'm not going to open it up, but I'll just view here. You'll see that Earl uploaded that, and it's sitting there waiting for submission.
Awesome.
So
Yep.
yes,
Good stuff.
excellent, very good. The only thing I would ask is just tack your last name or first name, either one, to the upload, Earl. So just put like E. Smith and then 105, or maybe it is. I bet it's at the very end, didn't it? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. What we had to do is we had to open every single one of these to grade them, which is an absolute somewhat nightmare. We'll talk a little bit about how you can actually help us out as we move forward by showing us the check results from the item. But this particular Packet Tracer, the check results, actually doesn't give us any information on the check results, because it's just what I call a look and see Packet Tracer. I think I got an old version of Packet Tracer on here. I do. I got to get the new version. So
Yeah, that's the other thing. Packet Tracer does they upgrade quite often, and it's never a bad thing to check it to make sure you got the newest version. And Dr. Reynolds, we will work with each of you individually if you're needing to complete the exams early. We understand schedules, and we'll help you as quickly as we can.
we'll try our best. It's one of those things where we don't mind you working ahead. We do. The one problem you will see is we will not be turning on the module exams until we get as many of you into the NetAcad class as we can. So that's why it's so important that you get into Canvas and redeem your seat token. Because if we don't, the problem will be when we turn on the exams, it only gets turned on for students in the class at the time we activate the exams. So that's one of the reasons we probably won't turn on the module exams till midweek of next week. Tom, you can change your email address in NetAcad and then just let me know about it or let your instructor know about it. We can make that happen. That's fine. Being on a cruise is not a problem. I am going to Argentina in the third week of July to finally go on a dove duck hunt that we've been trying to do for 3 years. So don't worry, we can work around those types of things. It's not a problem. I'm also going to Gen Con in the first week of August myself. So we understand it's summer. We'll work with you. And that's another reason why the three of us are working together in this class, is just to make life a little bit easier on all of us. So any questions about the netacad.com site? Once you get your seat token redeemed, please go ahead and start reading. Okay. And if you want to, you can go ahead and start doing the labs. Okay. Because these are important. And then, like I said, some of these, like the research, IT, and networking job opportunities, that's really not that big one. These, by the way, these labs right here, these cannot be, do not require Netlabs to do the labs themselves. This lab does require Netlabs, and we're going to show you Netlabs a great deal next Monday. I'm going to show you the basics today, but then next week we'll actually show you much more about how to get in it and how to use it. So any questions on NetAcad before we move to our final site, which is Netlabs? Okay. Netlabs.stanley.edu is where you do your hands-on labs. Your username is your full Stanley email in all lowercase. And your initial password is Cisco123. I have no idea why that was there, but there, it is slow on the weekends for us to respond. But netlabs.stanley.edu, this is an amazing system. I am logged in. I'm going to go do a lab reservation, and I'm actually going to do, you will see that all of you are in a class called ITN ITC SU22. And in this class,
I've seen your roster. I know I haven't sent it yet. I'll get it to you. I'll upload it. So.
Okay. Just make sure it's all lowercase in their Stanley email address. So, but if I click here, you'll see the first lab is this basic switch and end device configuration. So if I click right here and I go, it looks like, oh, well, Kelly, I've got 100 instructors and there's only 4 pods. Are you crazy? No, actually, if you click this little item right here, you will notice there's actually 20 different pods of equipment. We have 40 routers and 40 switches, real routers and switches sitting out there for you to use. If you click at the red line is the current time, and then you can do up to 4 hours. Most of these labs, I would give yourself 2.5 hours to do, 2.5 to 3 hours typically. But what is happening right now that I made this reservation is back in my data center down the hall. A real switch is booting up and a virtual machine is booting up. And there's some fun stuff happening on the back end for all these VLANs to be mapped so that the virtual machine appears to be a real box sitting on a real switch. So here's 2 switches and 2 PCs. You will see the switches are actually booting. The PCs are booting. Okay, so they're up and booting. And so when this is done, you will actually have a lab with 2 real switches and 2 PCs that for all practical purposes are real PCs.
And that's an isolated network. So there's no outside internet. We don't allow internet on our Netlabs system. So
you can do the lab now. The most important thing about this is this. When you do the labs on Netlabs, you must use the lab document from inside of here, because you'll notice it says this has been updated for use on NetLab Plus. Sometimes they change ports or they change a small thing in the lab to make it work on Netlabs. So make sure when you're doing your labs on Netlabs, don't use the document from inside the curriculum, because I can go into the curriculum here. I can go to the course index. I can click on labs, and here's the lab basic switch and end device configuration. Now it looks like when I open it, it looks like it's going to be the exact same thing. Okay, so open this. You're going to say, Kelly, that's the exact same lab, right? Well, it could be, but it also may have some differences. You'll notice this one does not say modified for Netlab Plus. Don't use this document. Use the one from the content tab. So when you do a reservation, that is there. Now I have a video showing you how to do a reservation. We're going to go over this multiple times. So again, don't freak out. But the great news is, look, here's a real switch booting. You're not working in a simulation. You're working on a real piece of gear, which I love simulations. Packet Tracer is a great tool, but nobody ever got hired for 2 to 4 years of Packet Tracer experience. It just doesn't happen. Okay, so we want you to have access to real gear. And that's why we have this system, and we have 20 different pods. I'll go through it again. Once you're logged in, if you want to do a lab, you click new lab reservation, schedule lab for myself. You won't see 2,000 classes like I am, because I've just got all these classes. You'll probably see 1, maybe 2 classes, probably just 1. Okay, and that would be this ITN ITC, and then you'll click on the first item, CSNA 1, and then pick the lab you want to do. Okay, so I'm just going to pick another one, build a switch and router network. And you'll notice again, you've got up to 20 pods. Now, if you know you've got time this Friday at, let's say, 5 o'clock in the morning to do a lab, you can go out here and schedule a lab for 5 o'clock on Friday morning. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to schedule a lab for Friday at 5 o'clock in the morning. You'll notice it's sitting there waiting for me for Friday. I can't enter the lab because it's not Friday. The one thing I ask is this: if you schedule a lab, please use your time. So I know, let's say I suddenly realize that's crazy. I'm not getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do a lab. I can click on that lab and I can cancel that reservation. So if I do a future reservation, here's the bad thing. If I don't show up to this lab, Netlabs doesn't care. It's still going to boot the system up. It's going to prepare all the devices for the lab, and it's going to be sitting there and no one else can use that pod. So if you know you're not going to be able to use it, cancel your reservation. Go back in this lab real quickly and you'll see eventually I get control of the switch, and you'll notice this is a full 2960 switch, Canine image on it that we can do labs on. So now I'm at a point where I could, and what I usually do is undock the document and put it on another monitor, and then I can sit here and start doing the lab. So read through the lab and it tells me what to do. It tells me type in enable, which I already did, so I kind of cheated. But it says type enable, and then it says config terminal, and you're going, I have no idea what this is. And I'm saying you will as soon as you read chapter 2 or module 2. All right, but this is a real piece of Cisco gear, and this is a real PC. Where's the link and login for Netlabs? Well, there's 2 ways you can do it. One is inside of NetAcad. You can just click on the SCC Netlabs and click on the link itself. There should be a link here. I don't know why that link's not there. We'll fix that. Or just put in netlabs.stanley.edu. I would just probably bookmark netlabs.stanley.edu.
The question above that, what is a canine image? I mean, there's cats, I guess.
Yeah, canine image is a security image.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Canine image is the security image. By the way, if this resolution doesn't work for you, change it to whatever you want. We need to actually go in here and change all these to 1024 by 768. The great news is anything you do to this pod, when you are done and you click end reservation, it is all wiped and it will be perfectly ready for the next student. So you cannot technically destroy it easily. Now, is it impossible to destroy it? No. There are things you can do that I won't mention because I don't want you doing them. But there are ways that you can mess things up that the system won't recover from. But a canine image, someone was asking that if I do a do show ver, anytime you see an image that is a canine image, you will also get this in your show version. And that is, it has cryptographic features that are subject to United States and local country laws. We were discussing possibly doing some training for a group in Iraq. And I had to ask them about the Canine image because at one time Iraq was on the do not export list for Canine images, but they are no longer on that list. So Cisco cannot legally export Canine images to certain countries because the United States government considers cryptography a weapon. But it's really amazing. This system to me is one of the greatest things since sliced bread, because you're able to work on real gear. You're able to work on, and that's just one of the labs. So as we get further into the classes, as hopefully you'll move on with us and take more classes, get into CCNA 2, CCNA 3, you'll be doing labs on routing protocols and just some of the really neat things that we can do.
I have a quick question.
Shoot, go ahead, Brian.
How difficult is, suppose after we set up a Cisco Academy at our institution, how hard is it to set up a Netlab? Like, I mean, obviously, we could rack the switches, configure them, do all their stuff, but there seems like a lot. Yeah, like, is it very expensive endeavor? And is it difficult to configure? Obviously, there's some logic in the back end. There's some kind of orchestrator of some sort.
Yeah, there is. And the company that actually runs this or has created this, they've been around almost 20 years, but netdevgroup.com, they are actually out of North Carolina also, but they're the ones that do it. I will tell you this, it is not a simple task setting up a Netlab system. I will say this too, though, once it is set up, it's typically, knock on wood, fairly easy to run once it's set up. Having said that, we do have almost 45 servers on the back end. We have 40 routers, 40 switches. We have an entire Virtu data center that we run it. It's not the IT department, we run it. So I will tell you this, it's not extremely difficult, but it's not extremely easy either. You're looking at for a very small school, yes, it is probably too expensive. You're looking at, but you got to understand, we're about this big too. I mean, we're literally this big. The only reason we can do it though is we got a grant, and we also are an ASC ITC, and we've done some other things. The other thing, Brian, and also Greg, I'll mention, we do share our Netlabs with other schools. We got a process where we can rent our Netlabs to you. And then we also many times share it to schools that just can't afford to have it for their students. And that way we are able to, a lot of times we ask you to at least pay for a couple slots, even if you can't pay for all of them. And so on the back end, it's VMware. It's VMware on the back end, by the way. But I would say you don't want to know how much money we've got in our system because it's insane. But a small Netlabs implementation could probably be put in minus, I mean, with the Cisco gear, 4, 8, 12, $50,000, $60,000, maybe $70,000.
Then you've got, I mean, if community colleges, I mean, for us, we're very fortunate. We have a good working relationship with our IT department, and we have that open or basically direct internet connection, which gives us the ability to talk directly with NetDev Group. But if you have any trouble whatsoever, big universities where you don't have access to controlling your network, and IT department's going to control everything that goes in and out of your network, it will be a lot more difficult. So just be aware of that.
And Earl made a good point. They created a NetLab administrator position through a grant. Yeah, that's nice. That's very nice to have. You just have to be a little careful that to make sure that person doesn't leave, and then take all the knowledge with them, because all right, username for the Netlabs account. Let's go back to that. The username for your Netlabs is your full Stanley email address, all lowercase, and then the initial password is Cisco123. If you're in Brian's classes, his accounts have not been imported yet, so just be aware his may not be working yet. But he'll get that done as soon as we get off here.
Now, Greg, it's for us, it's the Cisco devices are real devices. The virtual machines, they're just virtual machines. It's not VDI where, well, it is. You could say it could be considered VDI, but it's just one virtual machine. Well, actually, I think it was 3 per pod is the way it's set up, or 2 per pod is the way it's set up. But we haven't even attempted to do VDI yet at Stanley.
Greg, have you been in a previous class with us? if you have, that may be why you've got a different.
No, this is my first one. I mean, I have a login from all this year. So I've been teaching at my high school.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, gotcha.
Yeah.
So whoever's got Greg in their class, make sure you add his existing account into the class instead of creating him a new one with a Stanley email. So
Okay.
whoever's got Greg, check that out. Okay, Michael.
All
right. But yeah, the neat thing is this is a real piece of equipment. This is a true Cisco 2960 switch sitting back there in the closet. And there's a bunch of stuff on the back end to power it on and power it off. You know, that's one of the cool things. We can actually sit here and we can power this device off. So we can actually power it off, and there's a UPS in there that will automatically power it off, power it on. And then these PCs, again, there's a control switch in the back that basically maps it so that this virtual machine gets booted up on the VMware machine, and it thinks it's on the same physical link as this switch, because the port F06 and this PC both get mapped to the same VLAN in the background. You don't have to see none of that. You have to understand to do the lab. So we are going to go over this much more, folks. So don't freak out. Remember, we don't freak out. We don't cry. There are two main things. All right. So what we're going to do, I'm going to type a couple of things in here. Where do you go from here? First, log in to canvas.stanley.edu and do the intro assignment. That's the first thing we need you to get done for us. Okay, we've got to have that done soon. Number 2, redeem your seat token for netacad.com. Got my 2. All right. And then 3, what I'm going to tell you to do is start reading modules 1 through 3. And you know, if you want to start PTs if you feel comfortable. If you don't, that's fine too. And then 4, if you're feeling froggy, I'll go ahead and test your Netlabs access. But again, please give Brian about an hour or so to get your stuff imported here in just a few minutes. Okay. Are there any questions? Any questions directly for us about any of the sites? Canvas.stanley.edu, netacad.com, or netlabs.stanley.edu, or about the class at all? I'm gonna stop sharing. Any questions at all about the class?
Hey, Kelly.
Yes, sir.
I also just wanted to add that the seat tokens for my class, they've been uploaded in Canvas in the seat tokens option. You'll see your name and you'll see the seat token out to the right of it.
And the same thing with mine. In my class, you just look under the where it says seat tokens, click on that. Your name and your seat token are there to redeem. So, best way to access Stanley email. Okay, good question. The best and about the only way I know is, let me go share my screen again. You go to stanley.edu and you go to email and click on student Gmail, and you'll log in with the username. And this is, it doesn't recognize me because it's my Stanley account, but put in your Stanley username and at scc.stanley.edu. So your normal Canvas username and your normal Canvas password, and that will log you into your Stanley email right here. Okay. Other questions? Rachel's got that. Okay. I'm also in CyberOps class. Can you same log in for the CyberOps class in Netacad? Yes, you can. We'll just have to talk to we'll talk to Dan Abergetti about that, Janet. So we'll make that happen. And he should all actually use the same. Yes, you can. We'll make that happen. Let me we'll have to think about that. Janet, what class are you in? You're in Michael's or Brian's?
I think Brian.
Brian, if she's in her class, Janet Bottoms, she's already got an existing account. So use the existing account that's in the inside there.
Okay.
which I can add her right now too, so. All right, Janet, I'll do that. I'll add you in. I'm gonna end this reservation so that I'm not using a reservation that I'm not part of. Okay.
Am I able to see my class in the same place?
Yeah, your class should be under, once you redeem your seat token, you will have it in the exact same place where your CyberOps class is at.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. I'll put Janet in here real quick so we got the right thing. Any other questions?
Yes, one,
Go ahead.
you recorded this. Will we be able to, how quickly will we be able to see it? Because I know as much notes as I took, I missed stuff.
Oh, yep. As soon as I get it, I click stop here and it gets converted to MP4. I'll throw it on YouTube and we'll post it in Netacad and send it out via email. So we'll have it out in probably less than 30 minutes.
Kelly,
Thank you.
I put a capture.png in the chat. So if anybody's looking for the email,
Okay.
that shows where it is.
Okay. And
Greg,
Adam's got it.
we might need to hire you. You keep on
I
helping us.
know. Adam, if you've got an existing account, I don't know who has Adam, but I'm going to put Adam in.
So
No,
Kelly,
no, Ernie, it doesn't matter if you're coming off previous CyberOps. That's not a problem. So let me see if I can find you, Adam. Yep. Okay. Adam, your existing account is in.
So Kelly, I went through the email that you gave me and to Cisco, and now it's giving me go to partner self-service, go to order services, go to customer portal. Which one should I choose?
None of those. I check my email and see what you're getting, because
No, this is after logging into Cisco. This is after activating through the new email that you gave me.
okay, what I would do is this: just log out completely, close the browser, go directly to netacad.com and try logging in again.
Okay, let me try that. And
Yeah, I would try that, because it sounds to me like you're kind of in a.
Have you already changed has it already emailed you and you changed the password and stuff?
Yeah. But I do have an instructor account through via my email. I don't know if that makes a difference or not.
You do have an instructor account or don't?
I do.
Okay,
That's the
so
one
you
you
put
can
I
use.
have an existing account, right, when you redeemed your token?
No, I followed the steps by going to Netacad.
Yeah, the steps ask, I have an existing account or I am new. If you have an existing account, you had to put that in, otherwise you're going to create a new account for yourself. And you don't want 2 accounts.
Oh, I don't want 2 accounts. Okay, I already did. Okay, let me try.
Yeah, and look, please follow the document inside of Canvas for the redeeming your seat token, folks. It's important that you follow those steps, because again, I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna pull up the document here real quickly and show it to you. Step 1 is, if you obtain your seat token, which we've given you inside of your class, go to netacad.com, click in the lower right hand. If you're already logged in, you will have to log out, but you'll put redeem seat token. And if you already have an existing Netacad login, click here. So if you've ever had an account, if you've ever taken a class in any way, shape, form, or fashion, you should click the first item. Then it will ask you for your current email that is associated with that account, and you put your seat token in and submit, and that will put you into the class. Do not create a new, if you say I am new to the Networking Academy, it's going to make you a brand new account. And if you've already got an existing one, you don't want that, especially those of you like Ernie, who've had CyberOps before. You want all of your classes you're taking associated with a single account, which is really neat, because my account's now followed me for 23, 24 plus years. So all the classes I've taken, which is kind of cool. Actually, it's really neat, because one of the things you'll eventually be able to do is you'll eventually be able to go into your profile like this and look at a transcript, and underneath this transcript, see all the stuff that you're actually accredited to teach. So you can see I'm accredited to teach basically everything, and have been since the beginning of time. But it's neat to have all that together. as one item.
Is there any way to merge accounts? There was,
No, there's no way to merge accounts. Nope. There's not a way to merge accounts, unfortunately. We've tried, but they do not, it's not possible, especially now with single sign-on, because actually when you create a NetAccount account, you're creating a Cisco.com account. So it's all one single sign-on now. If you ended up with multiple accounts, we might be able to help you in some way to get accreditation on the one you want to be your main instructor account. But it's difficult. So that's why we try to get everybody to make sure they've got just one account. By the way, the most important thing of the account is the email address. That is what is the main item that keeps up with the account itself. So the email address is the main item for it.
Kelly, I've got to step away. Anybody in my class, email me and I'll follow up as quickly as I can. Okay.
Any other questions? We're getting ready to call it because it's any other questions? If you are having problems logging in, email your instructor and they'll work with you to get that taken care of. If not, again, thank you so much for being part of our project this summer and being with us. And attendance, Benai, attendance is just completing for us that intro assignment on canvas.stanley.edu. That's our attendance assignment. But we thank you very much. I am going to stop recording.